Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the story of Richard Hayes, a former NYPD officer who was included in a disputable shooting that led to the end of his career and left him facing criminal charges. Richard Hayes was a police officer within the NYPD's Road Opiates Authorization Unit. In 2012, he and his team were investigating a drug case in the Bronx when they observed an 18-year-old man named Ramarley Graham walking out of a place and followed him to his home. Hayes and his team believed that Graham was carrying a gun, hence why they followed him. Hayes kicked down the entryway of the loft and shot Graham in the chest, killing him. Hayes claimed that he saw Graham holding a gun, which he believed to be real, and that he feared for his safety and the safety of his fellow officers. The occurrence started broad shock and dissent, with numerous community individuals and activists calling for equity for Graham and for Hayes to be held responsible for his activities. The case drew national consideration and became an image of police brutality and excessive use of force. It was later revealed that the gun was actually a toy and that Hayes had failed to properly communicate with his team before entering Graham's home. In addition, there were discrepancies in Hayes' testimony, and he was found to have violated departmental policies regarding the use of deadly force. These actions led many to believe that Hayes had acted recklessly and without regard for the safety of the community that he was sworn to protect. Furthermore, Hayes was also accused of attempting to cover up the shooting by allegedly giving false statements to investigators and tampering with evidence. Ultimately, a grand jury indicted Hayes on charges of manslaughter and official misconduct, although those charges were later dismissed on a technicality. Despite the lack of a criminal conviction, many still consider Hayes to be a corrupt cop due to his actions and the impact that they had on the community. The shooting provoked far-reaching calls for action, shock, and dissent, with numerous community individuals and activists calling for justice for Graham and demanding that Hayes be held responsible for his activities. Amid the trial, it was uncovered that Hayes had not taken after legitimate convention amid the experience with Graham. He didn't have a warrant to enter the loft and did not have proof that Graham was carrying a gun. Moreover, it was later found that Hayes had a history of over-the-top constraint and had been included in a few other occurrences of police brutality. In 2017, Hayes quit the NYPD and was found guilty of charges of official offense. He was sentenced to probation and community benefit, but many activists and community individuals felt that the discipline was not enough for Hayes, and he had not been held completely responsible for his activities. The case of Richard Hayes highlights the issue of police brutality and over-the-top use of constraint by law requirement officers. It also raises questions about the responsibility and straightforwardness of police divisions and the equity framework as a whole. After the shooting, Richard Hayes was at first arraigned on charges of murder, but the case was dismissed on a technicality. However, a jury was gathered and Hayes was reindicted on charges of murder and careless endangerment. Amid the trial, it was uncovered that Hayes had not taken after appropriate measures amid the experience with Graham. The case dragged on for a long time, causing extra torment and suffering for Graham's family, companions, and loved ones. In addition to the discussion encompassing the shooting of Ramarley Graham, Richard Hayes had a lot of bad history. In one case, he was denounced of coercively entering a men's domestic and punching him within the confront, ending in a broken nose and other wounds. In another case, Hayes and his group were denounced of roughing up a man during a drug bust, causing him to endure a broken nose, dark eye, and other wounds. In spite of the discussion encompassing his activities, Richard Hayes at first remained free and was relegated to work area obligation. This choice was met with negative feedback from community individuals and activists who contended that he ought to have been suspended or fired. The case of Richard Hayes is one fair illustration of the ongoing issue of police brutality and the over-the-top use of force by law authorization officers within the U.S. Numerous activists and community individuals are calling for systemic changes to address this issue, counting expanded responsibility and straightforwardness for police divisions and the equity framework as a whole. A few have moreover called for changes to the way police officers are prepared, contending that a center on de-escalation and community policing might offer assistance in diminishing situations of viciousness and unfortunate behavior. Since the shooting of Ramarley Graham, His family and companions have proceeded to thrust for equity and to honor his memory. They have organized energizes, vigils, and other occasions to raise mindfulness around police brutality and to demand responsibility for those in charge. Whereas the case of Richard Hayes has come to an end, the battle for equity and change in policing continues. The case of Richard Hayes has had an enduring effect on the talk about encompassing police brutality and over-the-top utilize of constraint within the U.S. It has highlighted the deep-seated doubt between law authorization and communities of color, especially in cities like New York, where episodes of police savagery have started widespread protests and riots. The case has also shed light on the troubles of holding police officers responsible for their activities, particularly when there's a need of straightforwardness and responsibility within the equity framework. The case of Richard Hayes has moreover highlighted the requirement for superior preparing and change for law requirement officers. Police work is often high stress and unsafe, and officers are habitually called upon to make split-second choices in life or death circumstances. In any case, numerous specialists contend that current preparing strategies often emphasize a warrior mindset instead of a community-oriented approach that prioritizes de-escalation and collaboration. A few police departments have started to move their preparing programs in reaction to these reactions, centering on building more grounded connections with the communities that they serve and emphasizing the significance of sympathy and communication. Eventually, the case of Richard Hayes raises critical questions about the parts of law authorization in society and the duties that come with that part. Police officers are granted gigantic control, and it is basic that they use that control wisely and with regard for the rights and nobility of all citizens. When officers come up short to live up to these expectations, it undermines the trust between law authorization and the communities that they serve and dissolves the establishment of a fair and even-handed society. The case of Richard Hayes serves as a capable update of the significance of responsibility, straightforwardness, and change in our criminal equity system, and the ongoing need for watchfulness and promotion within the battle for social equity. Thank you for watching this video. The case of Richard Hayes serves as a capable reminder of the continuous battle for equity and change in our criminal equity framework, especially when it comes to issues of police brutality and excessive use of force. In the event that you want to share any thoughts or comments in this case or the broader issues it's talking about, we empower you to share them within the comments section below. We accept that it is significant to have open and honest discussions around these issues and to work together to find solutions that promote responsibility, straightforwardness, and equity for all of us. That's why we're going to make videos that talk about and sparkle a light on vital social equity issues and empower keen discourse and engagement. In case you found this video instructive or thought-provoking, we welcome you to like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this one. By doing so, you may offer assistance in helping us to reach more individuals and raise mindfulness about the vital issues that we cover. Thank you once more for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again, talking about another critical discussion together.